Hello and welcome to another edition of another book review. This week I'll be reviewing Umberto Eco's novel The Name of the Rose, talk real briefly about the author, give a spoiler-free overview of the plot, talk about what I liked, what I didn't like about it, who I'd recommend the book to, and finish off with what I will be reading for next time. Umberto Eco sadly passed away a few years ago. He is or was an Italian novelist. He also was a professor, and he's kind of known for his area of expertise being semiotics as well as medieval history. This novel, which I believe is his first novel, The Name of the Rose, is actually still probably his most famous work. It is about a 14th century novice whose name is Azzo of Melk. He is a monk, or he enters in the service of a monk whose name is William of Baskerville, who is tasked with solving basically a murder at a cloister, an abbey in the Italian mountainside, I believe in the 14th century. And the novel is kind of structured where you're not reading a direct account of these characters, but you're reading a letter or an account written by Azzo much later in his life, as he's retelling this event that happened nearly 60 years ago. And this document was then translated into various languages, and the author is basically doing a translation of these two sometimes conflicting documents. And so there's a literary device in there, but essentially what the novel is essentially a detective story of this world of these monks of different orders, and all this kind of happens at a kind of vital time during the history of the Roman Catholic Church. And it is a very complex novel. It's very dense. There's a lot of stuff going on in basically every page. I like the fact that it feels like you're entering into a world of its own. I read in the version of the book that I have, Umberto Eco kind of talks about at the end that he wrote it to make the first 100 pages very difficult for readers in order to almost kind of go through initiation to get past kind of some of the difficulty in the language. But you definitely feel like you're in this time period, you're entering into this world. And I enjoyed that part of it. I think Umberto Eco does some things from a writer's standpoint that I think is very effective in terms of foreshadowing. He kind of drops you just enough nuggets to kind of keep you along for the ride. I think the underlining mystery of the novel itself, the quote-unquote kind of detective part of it, is very well done, and I think it's like a satisfying detective story. So I enjoyed those things about it. It's a very dense novel, like I said before, and it definitely, you benefit from if you have outside knowledge coming into about the different orders of the different monks, the Franciscans. I think they're called the Mennonites. So basically these orders are all at this kind of remote abbey because there's a giant library that's kind of world-renowned where they go to copy manuscripts. So you have kind of different people who speak different languages in this one place. And so I think that kind of gave it kind of a Tower of Babel type feel that I thought was really cool. But the more information you have about the Roman Catholic Church, especially during this time, the easier I think the book will be. Because a lot of the book is just long digressions about theological questions that are going on around this time about faith and truth and which of these kind of sects is the one and true sect that should be followed. And as far as like history of the in the recent past of these characters, I found that all that stuff kind of to be difficult to get through. There's parts of the novel that are just kind of sentences written in Latin, and it happened so frequently I didn't stop to kind of translate it. But that was difficult to get through at times. The book is kind of structured in a way to where each chapter of the book is essentially the daily schedule of the monks. I thought that did a good job of kind of, again, putting you in that mindset of how these people live, because it is so different than I think we live today or most people live today. And it gave that kind of cloistered feel. But it would be, I think, difficult for me to recommend this to someone unless they were really there's so much of the religious side and religious questions in the history of the church that it kind of was difficult for me to get through it at times. I enjoyed the underlining mystery about it. I enjoyed some of, like I said, the bits that he leads, but it was difficult to kind of get past that and get past the digressions. And there's sometimes they're just in his writing just lists of things, and so it was hard. It was a hard book to get through. I'm glad I read it to say that I read it, but it was definitely difficult at times. If you're someone who likes kind of some of the longer Thomas Pynchon work, so if you liked Against the Day, or if you liked something like Mason and Dixon, you may enjoy this book. Or if you just like really philosophical works in your fiction, or if you have an interest in medieval studies or the Roman Catholic Church at this time, or anything of that, or if you're an avid detective story or crime story reader, I think this book, actually, like I said, the center of the book, the mystery itself, I think is really well done. I think the ending is really strong. I think he ends it basically at the perfect spot. But it did all those things, and I think there's kind of enough twists and turns to keep you enjoying that part of it. But for me, I was kind of buried by the slog of the history of the church and these characters in the martyrs and kind of the theological questions and schisms and all that stuff was a lot. For me, it was difficult. But that's The Name of the Rose. And until next time, where I'm going to be reading The Last Days of New Paris by China Miéville. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and until next time, I'll have my link to my Twitter account below. Until next time, bye.